You know what's wild? Just a few months ago, the Toronto Blue Jays were supposed to be running it back with the same core that got them so close. And now, everything's different, but maybe that's exactly what they needed. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Losing Bo Bichette stings. When your homegrown star walks out the door for the first time in his career and ends up in a Mets uniform, that's going to hurt. The guy was part of the fabric of this team, someone fans watched develop from prospect to all-star. But here's the thing about baseball that people forget sometimes. One player leaving doesn't define a season. It's about how you respond, how you rebuild, how you come back stronger. And that's exactly what Toronto's front office did. They looked at last season's collapse and asked themselves the hard question, why did we fall short? The answer was painfully obvious to anyone watching those playoff games. The pitching staff just couldn't hold up when it mattered most. Great offense can only carry you so far when you're giving up runs in bunches during the biggest moments of the year, so they went out and addressed it, aggressively. We're talking about multiple additions to the rotation, bullpen reinforcements, the kind of moves that signal a team isn't interested in moral victories anymore. They want rings. The front office essentially rebuilt the entire pitching infrastructure while everyone was focused on the Bichette drama, and honestly, that might be the smartest thing they could have done. Let's talk about this rotation for a second because it's absolutely loaded. You've got guys who would be ace material on half the teams in baseball, sitting at number 3 or 4 in the depth chart. That's not just depth, that's luxury. That's the kind of rotation that grinds opponents down over a season because there's no easy night, no automatic win when you face Toronto. And Yesevich? Come on. The kid comes up and breaks postseason records in his first taste of October baseball, and now he's supposed to just be another rookie? He's going to be pushing for that opening day starter role, and the crazy part is he's got legitimate competition for it. When you're arguing about who should be your number 1 starter and every option is a good one, that's a problem every team in baseball wishes they had. The offensive side of things is where this gets really interesting. Sure, Bichette took his production to New York, and that's a legitimate hole in the lineup. But you know what Toronto has that most teams don't? Depth. Real depth. Not just warm bodies to fill roster spots, but legitimate major league talent that can contribute on any given night. Their outfield situation is borderline ridiculous. Nathan Lukes, Dalton Varsho, George Springer, Addison Barger, Davis Schneider, Joey Loperfido, Miles Straw. That's 7 guys who can patrol the outfield and contribute meaningfully. Some teams struggle to find 3 quality outfielders, and Toronto's sitting there with options for days. What does that mean practically? Well, for starters, John Schneider can play matchups like he's managing a video game. Somebody's struggling? Sit them down, plug in someone else. Player dealing with a nagging injury? No problem. Next man up isn't a downgrade. That kind of flexibility is gold during a grinding season where everyone's dealing with something by August. But here's the other angle nobody's talking about: trade leverage. You've got multiple teams in baseball desperate for outfield help, and Toronto's sitting on a surplus. If the infield needs shoring up at the deadline, which, let's be honest, it probably will, they've got the pieces to make a move without gutting the roster. That's how contenders operate. Now let's get into the guys who are going to surprise people this year. Everyone's going to watch Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because those are the names that sell tickets and generate headlines. But baseball seasons aren't won by 2 players. They're won by the guy hitting 7th who suddenly gets hot for 3 weeks, by the bench player who delivers in a key spot, by the unexpected breakout that nobody saw coming. Ernie Clement showed everyone what he's capable of during last year's postseason. The records he broke weren't flukes. They were a glimpse of what happens when talent meets opportunity at the right moment. But he hasn't put together that kind of sustained performance over a full regular season yet. This could be the year. This could be when Clement goes from postseason hero to everyday impact player. Then there's Kazuma Okamoto, and this is fascinating. The guy dominated overseas, put up elite numbers against quality competition, but this is his first real test against major league pitching over a full season. There's always questions when players make that jump. Can they adjust? Can they handle the travel, the grind, the different approaches pitchers take? But if he translates even 70% of what he did internationally, Toronto just added another dangerous bat to an already potent lineup. Addison Barger might be the most intriguing name on this whole roster, though. His postseason performance was absolutely electric, hitting over .365 with a slugging percentage north of .575. Those aren't just good numbers, those are elite. The question is opportunity. If he gets consistent at-bats, if the coaching staff trusts him in big situations, there's no reason to think he can't carry that momentum forward. Confidence is everything in baseball, and Barger's got to be feeling pretty confident right now. Here's the bottom line. This Blue Jays team is built to win now. Not in 2 years, not as part of some patient rebuilding process. Right now. They've addressed their biggest weakness. They've got depth at multiple positions, and they've got a mix of proven veterans and young players ready to take the next step. Could they win 100 games? Absolutely. Will they be in the thick of the playoff race come September? You'd have to bet on it. And here's the thing about teams built like this. They get better as the season goes on. Pitching depth means fresher arms in October. Offensive depth means you can withstand the inevitable injuries and slumps. Championship DNA from guys who've been there before means they won't panic when things get tight. The reigning champions better take notice because Toronto isn't sneaking up on anyone this time. They're coming in with expectations, with talent, with something to prove after last year's disappointment. And sometimes that's the most dangerous kind of team, the one that knows exactly what it takes to win, because they came up just short before. This season starts with questions, sure, but by October, Toronto might be providing all the answers that matter. They're ready to compete at the highest level, and that should terrify everyone else in the American League.